Hello, today we're going to use the SketchBook Express app for iPad to design a colorful calavera or sugar skull. We're going to use the Symmetry Tool, and note that this design is to celebrate the Hispanic holiday of Dia de los Muertos. It's commonly celebrated in Mexico and Central America, and people celebrate their lost loved ones, their past ancestors, by decorating candy sugar skulls and also painting their faces, wearing masks, creating small statues or sculptures. And we're going to create a design today, kind of like the one on the left-hand side. Your design doesn't have to look like mine, but it should use some of the lines we've been studying in art, like bumpy lines, loopy lines, and we're going to learn how to draw some flowers today too. If you already have something on your iPad screen, I suggest you press the plus icon, and let's review all of the SketchBook Express application icons and their functions. Please say the name of each one after me. Gallery. Add new sketch. I for information. Undo arrow. Redo arrow. Brush editor. Draw styles. Free draw. Line tool. Rectangle tool. Circle tool. Symmetry. Text. Transform. Layers. Let's begin by pressing the plus. When you do that, you'll get the option to save your work. Go ahead and save that. Get a clean screen. And let's begin by drawing a background layer. I'm going to go into my brush editor and tap the fill bucket. The fill bucket looks like a paint bucket. When you tap on it, you'll see your color indicator box gets filled with a color. I'm going to fill my screen up with a light blue, and that's going to be the background of my work. And then when I tap on the screen, everything's filled up. I'm also going to pinch my screen with 2 fingers and bring it down to about 90% so I can draw all the way to the edge of my artwork. It doesn't have to be exactly 90. A little bit above or below is fine. I'm going to use some bumpy lines to design some flowers. So when I come into my brush editor, I'd like to switch off of the paint bucket down to one of the marker tools. I'm going to turn the radius up a little bit and turn the opacity all the way up. Let's pick a bright color, like a bright purple. And let's do some flower designs using some bumpy lines. I'm also going to turn on my Symmetry tool. That will let me create 2 flowers wherever I draw. So when I draw on one side of the screen, SketchBook does the drawing on the other side for me. Make sure when you get all the way back around to where your flower started that your line touches. I'm going to do another row of bumpy lines outside of that one. And a dot right in the center. Then I'll go back and use my fill bucket, hello fill bucket, and pick a lighter color for my fill. Then when I tap inside of that ring on the flower, I have to tap on each side. It fills up with that color. Your flowers don't have to look just like mine. You might pick very different colors. Next I'm going to select some yellow and go back and pick my marker again. And I want to try some more bumpy line flowers. I'm going to go around that again. And select my fill bucket to fill it up with a bright color. I'll select my marker again, and I want to do one more set of flowers. These are going to be a little different though. I'm going to start by putting a dot for the center, and then just draw the petals around the dot with a big curved line that loops down and back up. Don't forget to make it touch at the top again. If you want to fill that shape up with color, you can, but you'll have to zoom in. I really like how those turned out. I think I'll do one more and then switch over to white by going to the very top of the rhombus and give that one some white petals. You could try these flowers all over your background. Right now we're doing the background layer. Now I'm going to switch back to a darker color. I think I'll try a very dark blue. And I want to add some loopy lines in the background. These aren't supposed to be anything in particular, maybe some vines to go with my flowers. You might try adding in some leaves. In fact, many of the designs right there on our iPad screen show some leaves on them. I'll go back and I'll pick a bright green color and just add in a few leaves. Just by making curved lines that come back and touch again. I'll get my fill bucket. I just want to fill some of those leaves up with color. If you touch the line that you drew the leaf with, it will actually fill the line up with color. You might have to zoom in to get to some of those very small leaves. Your background does not have to look just like mine. You might have some very different ideas. The last thing I'm going to do is add in a few dots. Just some dotted lines around my art to give it some excitement. I'm going to use my paintbrush and make the radius of my dots fairly small. And now in some of my empty spaces, I'm just going to add some groups of dots, just by tapping on the screen. Sometimes when I tap the puck, the small circle control at the bottom, it gives me the on-screen controls, but I generally don't use those for drawing. And let's add a few white dots. I'm very satisfied with my background. I'm going to go ahead and save that. So I'll press plus and save. That way I don't accidentally delete it later. I'm going to go into my gallery, tap the 4 rectangles in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to make a copy of that background so I can do a different sugar skull design on it later if I want to. So I tap my design, you'll see a blue rectangle form around it, and then tap the plus plus in the bottom left-hand corner. That makes a copy when you tap plus plus. Now I'm going to go back and edit, tap edit in the top right-hand corner, and we're going to make a new layer. So tap your layers in the far right-hand corner and the plus to get a new layer. That's the layer we're going to draw our sugar skull on. That way, we can use fill bucket, it will cover our background, and our lines and designs on the background won't interfere with our sugar skull design. I'm going to change my color to black for the skull outline and stay on my paintbrush. Symmetry is turned on, and now I have to find the middle of my screen. The best way for me to do that is to use the puck, the small circle control in the bottom right, in the center, and then start to draw the shape of my skull. Now this is kind of a cartoon skull. It doesn't have to be extremely realistic. In fact, everyone's might look different, and that's okay. I'm going to do the top of the head, and then the bottom of the jaw. I'm going to put a big smile on my sugar skull, and I'm going to draw lots of ovals for the teeth. You might want to make yours look more like real teeth by doing rectangles. Mine aren't very realistic teeth. They're going to be kind of rectangular or oval shaped. It's up to you what yours look like. For my nose, I'm going to do the shape of a heart. Upside down. And for my eyes, I'd like to do the shape of flowers using bumpy lines. You could do circles or ovals for your eyes, but usually when you see sugar skull designs, or calaveras as they're called in Spanish, they have flowers around them. Now I'm going to use my fill bucket to fill up those shapes that I've created. I'm not going to fill up my teeth, I'm filling up the space around my teeth. Sometimes you have to zoom in to get into those very small spaces, and if you make them really small, you have to paint over them with black instead of using fill bucket. Now that I've done the basics for my sugar skull, I'm going to fill it up with a background color. I think I'm going to make my skull bright yellow. And of course I need to fill my teeth up with white, and I get that at the top of the rhombus. Now I'm ready to start doing some more designs around my sugar skull. I'm going to start by doing some dots. Let me go back and get my paintbrush. I want to add some white dots to the flowers that form the eyes, and some white dots around the heart that makes the nose. Again, you might pick very different colors, and that's okay. Now I want to do a flower design on the forehead. This is very, very popular for sugar skulls. You may have yours in a very different location, or it may look totally different than mine. That's okay. And use fill bucket to fill it up with color. You see, if you tap the lines, you can change the color entirely. Hearts are also very popular designs on sugar skulls because the idea of the holiday, Dia de los Muertos, is to remember and celebrate your loved ones. So I'm going to use hearts to decorate around those flowers. And use a little bit of that same red to outline my flowers. So hopefully you'll see that your eye holes don't have to be perfect, and your flower designs and heart designs don't have to be perfect either. I'm going to add some green to give some loopy line, leaf or vine shapes coming around the edge, because flowers are also very popular decorations during this celebration. By now, I'm sure all of our designs look very different. Can't wait to see how yours turns out. When you finish, make sure you press plus and save your work. I can't wait to see how yours turned out.